Okay, back now, and we're going to be doing the continuation of using the grinder. Now this is actually a standalone video about using a meat grinder. We already talked about clean and chilled, lots of ice. I'm going to be using chicken for two reasons. First of all, the first video we reviewed how to clean a chicken, which we do a lot, and then we have the meat that we're going to use for the grinding. Now we're not going to be making anything particular in this class. This is just to give you an overview on how to use the grinder and use it safely. It's a dangerous machine. It's not something to be taken lightly. It's a very strong machine. So, but before we continue with that, because I will be making stock later, and I'll add a video of full stock making on there again. But celery, carrot, l'oignon, onion. What are these together? Mirepoix. Very important. Now, just on a side note too, if you look at a Western recipe, it says like, you know, dice one carrot. They don't mean this. This is a big carrot. A Western carrot would probably be about that much in weight. This is extremely huge. For mirepoix, we wash, we don't really peel. It depends. Once again, some chefs say, oh yeah, you must peel. What a key point is, I want to show you in class, because in class, a lot of times, like, we'll use a whole onion for mirepoix. But usually in restaurants, with the carrot, you take off the ends. Right? You would have, most hotels and restaurants I worked in, and as a chef, I would have a mirepoix bucket. And it's for carrots and celery and onions only. And so something like this, you go look, oh, a lot of gogi going on there, not really. If you're doing 20, 30 carrots and you're working fast, this stuff is not for the garbage can, it's for the mirepoix bucket. Some things you have to be more careful with. Same thing with celery. Right, the celery, generally, this is actually pretty nappy looking celery. And you never use the leaves in stocks, so that's no problem there. You can take off the leaves. Just for today's purposes, things like this, perfect for stocks. Little pieces that break off, perfect for stocks. Not for stocks. Very bitter. You guys kind of like it. This is not considered bad, but once again, when you get a paring knife, you just peel that off. You don't have to go crazy. You can even leave the brown end on there. Something like that. And then you cut here. This we always use for stocks. Every place I work, they generally cut them in half. They're clean on the inside. You can't really use it for anything else. You know, it goes in the garbage can, but it's perfect for stocks. So that would go into the mirepoix bucket, along with our carrot ends. This we would use for, you know, soup, salads. This is usable product. Obviously the leaves will come off, but I'll deal with that later. I just want to show you the cost savings, save money in a restaurant. Because what's expensive is this. This is expensive. This is garbage. This goes in a garbage can. But that's expensive to throw out. When I was a chef, we didn't really worry about that. We didn't have to worry about it at all. We basically pushed everything into one big tong and took it away for imanen, a big thing. It was cheap, very cheap. Nowadays, it's not. Moving on to the last one, onions. I'm going to swing this down, hopefully it doesn't collapse. Now these are already peeled and cleaned onions. Obviously, you can see there's some skin here. I worked with a lot of chefs that would just cut onions, roots and all, and throw it in the stock pot. French chefs have a very different way of looking at it. But this outer skin here is not really edible. It's kind of leathery, right? So once again, you cut it. This is the root end, and this is the blossom end. Root end, blossom. So you cut it that to that point, right? You can see a little clearer here, and you do have some unedible parts, right, on the ends. This is the blossom end. So the first cut, the first thing you're going to do is take off this outer skin, because even down here, it's well, down there it's edible, but it's hard, it's chewy. Once again, perfect for mirepoix. You got this brown end and things like that. This is edible, but once again, you're going to need onion anyway. The skin you don't need. So this is perfect for that. A lot of chefs, I said, use the whole onion, skin and all. Now we got the blossom end, the root end and the blossom end. And we're going to cut this way. And in class, a lot of times you're worried about using all the onion. But if you're going to be doing 30 onions, first, I don't know if we can see that. Should I move you guys down a bit? Let's see what happens here. You guys should know this already. Okay, hopefully I did. Hopefully you can see that. All right, blossom end, root end. So you cut, using this technique of knife holding. Let's see, you can swing it this way, yeah. See that? So say I need onions for chicken salad. I got chicken, I made chicken salad. I do have some pasta actually, maybe I will. Maybe I'll make lunch. So you cut all the way to that end, maybe one more cut. Depending on the size of the onions, once, and this one's twice. And don't worry about this. Don't worry, you'll take care of it later. Something like this too. What could you do with this? Mirepoix bucket. Because you'll be doing 30 onions. Nice small dice. Now you get to the end here, and the pieces are going to start changing. You see, it's not cut all the way through. This is perfect mirepoix. Once again, in school we don't have a mirepoix bucket. But every place I worked, almost every place I worked, we made chicken stock every day. So if somebody's going to be cutting a lot of onions, and instead of having them trying to get the most out of that onion, boom, just throw it into the mirepoix bucket. It's, once again, it saves time, it saves money, it saves labor. Labor is very expensive. Okay, so that I wanted to go through that point about where mirepoix comes from. Mirepoix does not come from this. Mirepoix does not come from this. Mirepoix comes from this. All right, and once again, 25, 50% onion, I'm sorry. 50% onion, 25 and 25. Obviously there's less carrot here, but once again, carrots are cheap. Celery's cheap. That's not in Korea. Not in Korea. Celery in America is so, they usually give it to you. They give you a case of it. Like, yeah, just take it. It's a very inexpensive item, and you guys really don't like it, but I've made stocks without it, and it's not the same. It's just not the same. And if you do like minestrone soup, carrot, celery, and onions always show up in there. There's no that light thing in there. You see that? Whoa. Funny. But that's just a side note about, before we get to the grinder, that I want you guys to understand that not always that you use good product for stocks. There's always a lot of leftovers. Even things like this. You know, look at it, it's ugly, a lot of people throw it in there, but you just peel off the leaves. And that's perfectly good mirepoix. Not really good for soups or sandwiches or anything. I mean, I wouldn't use it. You could use it per se, but once again, if you're gonna be making stocks, this always into the garbage can. Okay, let me pause you, and maybe I don't have to just move it back up here again. And swing it down. I taped that up there. Okay, I'm gonna just move this out of the way. Just for now, just to make my life easier. Get into a clean cutting board. And now we're gonna grind some chicken meat. Okay. The body. The screw. The cap. The knife. Okay. Let me swing this down a little more. Hope I don't lose anything. Okay. There we go. And then, like little babies, I take care of these very well. These things are 20 years old. So, give you an idea how I take care of things. These are 20 years old. And I worked at a lot of places where chefs, they're very careful with these. These are steel. They're not stainless steel, so they will rust. After I'm done, I'll show you how to clean them. I'll show you how to clean them. Clean and oil them. You have to oil them. You have the large. Oddly enough, we have two mediums. But there's two, but they're the same. See the opening. And then fine. Fine you don't use, well, in charcuterie, in like pate making and stuff, we'll use the fine a lot more. Italian sausage making, usually large and medium. Overall, like hamburgers are mediums. And they do come in a variety of sizes. These are just the three basic sizes that we have. So today we'll just use the medium one. Like I say, we're not going to be making no end product with it. The point of this class is to understand and use the grinder safely, because we're going to be using it a lot in French cooking, and we'll use it once or twice in Italian cooking too. Okay. Let's see. You got the motor here. Motor plugged in. Oh yeah. You can't see it, but the lights dim. The lights change because of this very, very powerful motor. Very, you got to be very careful. It never says sorry. Okay, take the body. There's a pin here and a dot there. You see the pinhole? There's a corresponding pin here. So that goes in, locks in, and now you can't really see it. You have this, which is for tightening. There's one on this side. I'm not going to bring it over, but when you're tightening it, because this is cold, and as it runs, it gets warm, so just tighten it enough. No, don't squeeze it or anything like that. Just tighten it enough, because as this runs, it gets hot. Screw. Okay. The knife has two sides, but you only use the one flat side. It must fit like this. Let's see that? I'm not very clear, am I? Yeah, there we go. See, that fits like that. If you put it like this, you're not going to grind. You're going to make a mess. So the blade, the knife goes in, and then here will be a little notch. A little notch, and there's a notch on the body. So you put that and you line that in. Take the cap. What I do, I put my finger there to make sure that doesn't spin. The die, D-I-E, which is a funny word. Die means to kill, right? Die. And then I'm holding that so it doesn't spin, and tighten that down. And this is another one too. Just tighten enough. Don't apply a lot of pressure on that. That will make it very hard to take apart. We got the tray and a pusher. No fingers. If you notice too, I'm not wearing my neckerchief, because that's, once again, this machine will not stop. It will not stop for anything. You'll see it'll grind. Okay, let me get a, I need something to put that in. Excuse me for a second. I have this up on a hotel pan, which I'll remove because we don't need it now. I was doing that so you could see easily. Ice. The chicken, which you really can't see. It's in ice. In a tray. It's on an ice on a tray. Get your mise en place, everything ready. Now, before you start grinding, what you do is you on off the switch very quickly. This is very important. If something's wrong, who knows? The knife is put in wrong, the spoon's in there, anything like that. This machine will not stop, and it will break whatever's in there. But you can break this body. This body itself, this whole thing together weighs probably about 10 to 15 kilos. It's very, very heavy, but when this type of metal breaks, it kind of explodes. You drop this, it breaks like an egg. You'd be very surprised. This type of metal is not very strong in impact, like dropping it, but it's very strong for what it does. So, once again, you get everything together, you take the on-off switch, just make sure there's no, that sounds good, turn it on. Now it's working, right? So up I go, take the plunger out. Even the breast, a whole breast like this, it just tear it basically, so it fits down the hole easy. Look at that come down, nice. And I tell you, if you make your own hamburger meat and things like that, it's very, very nice. Now I'm only using the medium die here because that's all we need. Okay. Don't really need the plunger. But never use your fingers. Please, never do. Nice quality. Nice grind. Now this is medium, but this is good for all purpose. We'll use it in other cases. Now there's going to be meat still in here at the end. And a trick that I've seen other chefs use is like onions or celery. Not a lot, just enough to push the meat out. And you'll see the meat come out, now out comes onions. So a little onion in your recipe shouldn't really, obviously if the recipe calls for no onions, you wouldn't do that. But you can see you got a little onion in there. That's fine. And you got yourself a nice ground chicken. Okay? You're going to keep this on ice. Hey, Joey. One of my students are coming in. You're going to keep this on ice, and I'm going to get ready to show you breakdown and cleanup of this equipment. Okay? So give me a second, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, back. Maybe for you guys, I took about a half-hour break. Student came in who graduated and now has an intern job at Lotte Hotel up in Seoul. Nice job, nice job. He's only an intern now, but I know that's going to turn into a full-time job for him. He's a really good kid. Plus, he speaks English quite well, so you guys, I tell you, you guys should study English. The French chef there speaks English, but English is his second language too, so it's not so clear. Oh, I love celery. I'm telling you, you guys, long time no celery. You guys need to study other languages, not just necessarily English. It's great if you guys study Chinese is a good language right now, that's for sure. They're going to be an economic powerhouse. But it was good talking with him. He brought some coffee. Delicious. Let's get back to work. Okay, enough talking. Let me swing the camera down. Oh, one thing he said, he goes, finally, your mustache looks decent. Yeah, it took a while. It's 2 years. 2 years growth, so. Okay, so the machine's off. That's leftover onions coming. If you remember, I put the onions through there to push out any of the meat. I've seen people put vanilla in there, saran, plastic wrap, put it through, push it through. But once again, onions are good. Celery's good. Carrot's good. Let me just let me throw the mirepoix through so you just get to see what it can do. These are pretty hard. And it just grinds them into nothing. Actually, I'll take a piece of the carrot and put it through. Onions. Carrots. Use a pusher. And you'll see at the end here the carrots will be coming out. Now this is too fine for using anything else. This is just give you an idea of the power of this. This is, carrots are like wood. Your fingers would not stand a chance. I guess you can use this for bibimbap. It's a little too small. Maybe the larger we can. Well, like I said, the danger of this machine is really, really important to understand that you don't play with it. It's not a toy. When we're using it in class, only 2 students at a time, one here, one here. Not a lot of touching and things like that. So let's break this thing down now. Basically, it's the same way we put it together. Let's see, I'll put it in here. Take it, unplug it. Unplugging is very important. Once again, after you unplug it, you check it. Like I said, this machine doesn't say sorry. It'll hurt you. Keep it locked. Take this, and this one's loose. Because I say you got to be careful. Don't put it on too tight. Put something underneath here like this to catch all the junk. Just let it drop. Wiggle that out. This. And what's good about when you put vegetables through here, this will clean much easier. If you have a lot of meat in there, it's hard to clean. This will come out very easily with water, which I'll use over here. I don't think I'll actually show you that part. I'll just show you this. Take out the knife. Usually the knife you wash separately. Pull out the screw. Take off this. Let's see how this is. See, that was a little tight. It gets tight as it runs. It's still cold because we only did one chicken. And you take this off. I'm not going to go through the cleaning process, but obviously brushes. Let me just swing this back up because we're pretty much done. Okay. Once again, brushes, hot soap, hot water. After you wash it, you put it through the machine to sanitize it. And in class, I'll show you with that. After you clean this, you dry it well, you rub it with a little oil, and you be very careful not to let this rust. Now, most of the places, actually I could probably say all the places I work, these are in the chef's office. He would have them up on the wall on a little nail. You use it, you clean it, you oil it, you put it back up. No questions asked. Because these things are expensive. Knives are not too expensive, and they should be replaced. And they can be sharpened too. They can be sharpened gently on a stone end or. But these, I guess, are probably maybe Omanen, maybe a little less. Salmonen. They're not expensive, and they should be replaced pretty quickly. But the dies are expensive, and so they have to be really taken care of. Okay. There'll be following videos on some items. I don't know if I have a Galantine. If I have a Galantine video, I'll post that. because that's a high level thing. That takes a lot of good knife skills. So that's what I'm saying. Kind of need the right tools for the right job. Welcome back, and be careful, be safe, and I'll see you face to face.